Hello students, I hope you are all fine and in good health. In this audio presentation, I will be discussing synopsis and key points related with the second chapter from Snapshots. The name of the chapter is The Address. So, dear students, let's start. Let us know something about the author first. Marga Minko is the name of the author. Actually, her main name or her real name was Sara Menko. In 1942, her parents were forced to move into the city's Jewish quarter. The parents, her brother and sister were all deported, and Marga managed to survive the war in hiding. And she was the only surviving member from her family. Thus, her stories often revolve around the existential problems often faced by survivors, and mostly her short stories, her novels, all these things are dealt with the Second World War issues. Now, dear students, I am moving on to the background information related with this particular story. Now, the background is World War II, and as you know that the course of World War II was from 1939 to 1945. Most of the nations of the world divided themselves into two groups, the Allies and the Axis. The Allies initially comprised of France, Poland, and UK, but soon became the group led by the Big Three, that is, the USA, the British Commonwealth, and the Soviet Union. Other allies were China, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, and other third world nations. The Axis, on the other hand, were formed of Germany, Italy, Japan, and the areas they presided over, that is, parts of Europe, Africa, East and Southeast Asia, and the islands of the Pacific. The Allies eventually won, but in the interim, about 50 to 70 million lives were lost. Finally, as a consequence of the Second World War, the Allies eventually won the Second World War, but approximately 50 to 70 million lives were lost. Now, that was the background. Some more information related to the Second World War. It is very important to know these things because it is helpful for the lesson also. Dear students, the most devastating aspect of this Second World War were the Holocaust and the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Holocaust was the genocide of about 6 million European Jews under the Nazi reign of Adolf Hitler. The Holocaust began with laws being established to remove Jews from civil society. They were sent to concentration camps and used as labor or for medical experiments unto death. It's an inhuman form of brutality that the Jews they had to face. Often mass shootouts took lives. Some were sent to extermination camps by freight train to be killed in the now infamous gas chambers. Some of them were killed in the gas chambers also. And apart from that, some of them were also the victims of genocide and Holocaust. All these are related with the brutalities and violence related with the Second World War, particularly the violence faced by the Jews and the violence inflicted on them by the Nazi soldiers. Our story, that is this particular story, The Address, begins after the Holocaust when our narrator, a Jewish survivor who had lost her entire family, including her mother, had returned to find her mother's things at 46 Marconi Street. That is the place where she went in order to search for her mother's belongings after the devastating Second World War, because she was the only surviving member of her family. Now let us move on to the synopsis and key points related with the address. Now the first important thing is that the narrator arrives at 46 Marconi Street. That is the place where Mrs. Doling used to stay, a house owned by a certain Mrs. Doling. The door is opened a mere inch by a woman who seems not to know the narrator, but actually Mrs. Doling recognized the narrator but reluctant to talk with her, reluctant to interact with her, who seems not to know the narrator and treats her with cool incivility. However, during the course of the interaction, three important realizations occur. And what are those three important realizations? Number one, the narrator realizes that she is at the correct address, as Mrs. Doling is wearing her mother's green knitted cardigan or sweater. From the pale faded buttons, it is very much clear, or rather you can say it is very much evident, that the sweater has been worn fairly often, and that sweater actually belongs to the narrator's mother. So the narrator came to the conclusion that she came to the right address. The narrator knows she is unwelcome, as Mrs. Doling does not even let the narrator come into the house. The narrator unfortunately goes away disappointed and unsuccessful in collecting her things. And another important realization, the narrator hears a door open and close within the house behind Mrs. Doling. The readers know then that there is another person in the house, but we don't know who was that person. Someone whom Mrs. Doling is anxious to keep away from the narrator, and that was the reason when Mrs. Doling opened the door slightly an inch, she was guarding herself in such a way, she was posing herself in such a way so that she wanted desperately to keep this meeting with the narrator very much confidential. As the narrator walks back to the train station, very disappointed, because she thought that Mrs. Doling would allow her inside the house, but nothing as such happened. So he walks back to the railway station, and she walks back to the railway station. She recalls how once on returning home from the university, or from outside where she went during the first half of World War II, she had found several of their household items missing. Her mother had then informed her first time about Mrs. Doling. An old acquaintance, or rather you can say an old friend of her mother's, had renewed their contact and insisted that she, that is Mrs. Doling, keep their things safe during the war. The narrator also recalls another incident when she had seen Mrs. Doling for an instant in a brown coat and a shapeless hat, before the woman left with yet another installment of the narrator's things. And the most important thing is that she used to come with an empty bag, and whenever she used to move out of the house, that bag used to be full of the precious things. The narrator's mother, an apparently gullible woman, because Mrs. S, we don't know her name because her name has not been mentioned anywhere in the course of the story. Now she is a very simple-minded, gullible woman who was easily convinced, and who can be easily convinced also, did not seem to suspect Mrs. Doling of any ulterior motive. Mrs. S, the narrator's mother was more worried about Mrs. Doling hurting herself or being attacked by someone while carrying their things back to Marconi Street for safekeeping. Actually, the narrator's mother was worried not so much about the things, but about Mrs. Doling, and from her body language, it was very much clear that she was very thankful to Mrs. Doling for assuring her for safekeeping her belongings. She asked her daughter to remember Mrs. Doling's address, and that is 46 Marconi Street, in case the narrator was the only one who survived the war. And indeed, it came out to be true, because the narrator was the only one from her family who had survived the war. And after a few months, she came to the house of Mrs. Doling, but Mrs. Doling behaved rudely with her, haven't paid her any attention whatsoever. After the first unsuccessful visit, the narrator ruminates about why she took so long to return for her mother's things. The war and the loss of her family had settled heavily on the narrator's heart, and that was the reason the narrator was very sad deep inside. She only felt fear and hesitation when she thought about the things kept at Mrs. Doling's house. Each of those things carried memories of her life before the war, and all the things are very much related to her, because all those things actually belonged to her dear departed mother. The pain of loss stopped her from returning those things sooner. The impact of war on civilians, as we know, has been portrayed in several books and movies, including the one, dear students, that you had studied in class 10, and that is The Diary of a Young Girl, written by Anne Frank. The torture of the concentration camps, the loss of loved ones left a painful impact on not only on the surviving people but also on the readers. The narrator's observation of the light colored bread, familiar views, and unthreatened sleep implies the court-stale food of the camps, the view of barren land and barbed wires, and a sleep forever threatened with pain and death, because that trauma, that phobia or that trauma was there in the narrator's mind. Later, even after the liberation of the Jews, and when she was given a one-room flat to stay, even then also at the back of her mind, whenever she used to sleep, her sleep was threatened with pain and death, and all the brutal, violent, gruesome, frightening memories used to cover or used to come in her mind, and that really made her more anxious, and that made her more disturbed. After the first failed attempt, the narrator tried to visit Mrs. Doling again, but thankfully, this time, the second time, she was allowed inside the house by the daughter of Mrs. Doling, the 15-year-old daughter of Mrs. Doling. This time, the woman was not at home, and she was greeted by her 15-year-old daughter. The girl showed off the antiques in her house to the narrator, oblivious to the fact that they had once belonged to the narrator's own home. But Mrs. Doling's daughter, it seems so that she had no knowledge about this. But the only thing she knew about these precious things was that her mother told her that she had purchased all these things from the auction, which was a lie in itself. We know that Mrs. Doling had exploited the narrator's mother for the sake of friendship, and had taken those things, promising that she would do a bit of safekeeping. But what she did, she decided to keep those things illegally in her house, in her possession. When the narrator finds that her things had now become part of someone's life and memories, she decides not to take her things after all. The memories associated with her things were overwhelming. There was no space for such fancy items in the small room where she lived now. Everything was now a part of someone else's home, and life creating new memories each day. And it is something very important because now these things once upon a time belonged to her mother, but now these things are a part of someone else's home, and it seems that life is getting created each and every day, along with new memories are also being created each and every day. The visit was actually successful, the second visit, because the first one, as you know dear students, it was a failure, but the second visit was successful in the sense that the narrator was finally able to find the strength to move on, and felt that of all the memories left behind by the war, the address with her mother's old belongings or old things would be the easiest to forget. But we know that it won't be the easiest one. It's a consolation that she is giving to her own mind, but we know it would be the most toughest thing, the most hardest thing for her to forget. So dear students, kindly go through this audio presentation, and if there is any doubt anywhere, let me know about it. Thank you students. Thank you all.